and come to lying, but come to lying with focus on your feet. So you can have a slight bolster under your knees if that works for you. Just be comfortable. And just open your feet out to the side. Just turn your head to the left. Come to the centre. And turn your head very gently to the right. Rolling across the back of the head. And again, as you inhale, turn to the left. And as you exhale, turn to the right. And one more time, breathing in as you let your head turn slightly to the left. It's a natural roll on the back of the head, the skull. And then coming to the centre as you turn your head to the right. Come back to the centre. Bringing your attention to the feet, circle the ankles. And notice as you circle your ankles, where in your circle you tend to jump on your circle. There are bits that I miss out. And then very gently come to reverse the circle of your ankles and go in the opposite direction. You can, depends what suits your visualization, almost imagine your big toe as a pencil, tracing the circle with your big toe. And then release, let both legs drop out to the side. Extend your right heel, and as you breathe in, bending your right arm, lift your right arm up above you, and just relax your right arm to the back of the behind you, above you. Elbow can be bent. And then breathing out, turn your head to the left, away from your outstretched right arm. Stay here for an in and an out breath. And breathing in, bring your head back to the centre. And breathing out, lower your right arm, be bending at the elbow, and just release your right leg out to the side and relax your right arm. Bringing your attention now to your left foot, extend the left foot, and breathing in, raise the left arm up above you, stretching the left arm as little or as much as you would like. And breathing out, turn your head to the right, turning away from the outstretched left arm. Breathing in, bring your head back to the centre. And breathing out, lower your left arm back down alongside you. Release and relax your left leg out to the left. And breathing in, just turn your head once more from the left to the right and back again. And then come to settle. Bend your left knee and bend your right knee so that both knees are up to the ceiling and both feet are about hip width apart. And just wake up the base of your spine by a very gentle pelvic tilt, so as if you're going to lift your bottom off the ground and then release back onto the ground, so that there's a little gap under your lower back. Just a couple of these, just gently massaging up and down just over those lumbar vertebrae that do all the heavy duty work. They tend to be the L4 and the L5. And then just very gently come to stillness, and then gently let both knees sway slightly over to the right and your left hip will lift. breathing in, coming with both knees back to the centre, and then both knees gently drift over to the left, and your right hip will lift slightly. Your hands can be palms down as you repeat that, or they can be resting on your lower abdomen. Just gently swaying your knees from side to side. And this is giving you a massage across your lower back in a slightly different position, almost to the top of your bottom sacral area. And then there's an invitation, which is optional, to involve your head in this movement. And you can either choose to move your head in the direction of the knees, or you can choose, which I will probably do, to move my head away from the direction of the knees. So your body, your back is being supported by the floor, the ground, and your muscles can start to begin to relax as you just very gently sway from side to side. If you want to make your feet slightly wider than hip width apart, that's fine too. The wider your feet, the more your knees will tend to drop into the centre. And then very gently come to bring your knees back to the centre. If you've moved them wider than hip width apart, perhaps bring them to a comfortable hip width apart. And just come back to connecting with the breath as you rest your hands on your abdomen and open the elbows out to the side. And just notice as you breathe in and out that your abdomen slightly rises on the inhalation and very gently falls away from you on the exhalation. You're giving space to the lungs, a very, almost imperceptible stretch as you're lengthening along the ground. Back of your head is connecting to the ground, the back of the neck slightly long. And then just bring the elbows slightly in towards you and resting your hands, crossing over one another, the fingers almost interlace, just on your upper ribs, your diaphragm, and leaving the elbows where they are, breathing in, just open the hands out to the side, breathing out, bring both hands back to the solar plexus, the diaphragm area. Breathing in as you just open your hands out. You'll feel a very gentle stretch across your chest, and breathing out, just relax your hands back. And one more time as you breathe in, just open your hands out to the side, and breathing out, bring your hands back down to your chest. And then, keeping your elbows still where they are, lift your hands up and very gently circle your wrists in the same way that we circled the feet, although the wrists seem to have more dexterity in them on a circling motion. And then just very gently reverse your circling. And then come to hug your left knee into your chest. This is a variation of Apanasana. Apana is a downward energy. And just very gently begin to circle the left knee in one direction. And then circle the left knee in the other direction. Dropping your hands to hold or clasp underneath your left thigh. You can interlace your fingers and very gently raise your left leg up to the ceiling and extend your left heel Feel the stretch in the back of your leg. You can stay like this, or you can begin to walk the hands up the back of the leg. When you feel that that's right to stop, then stop. And take an in and an out breath. You can stay here, or you can drop your right hand behind your head, supporting your head and your neck. And as you breathe out, lift your head slightly, supporting it up towards your extended left leg. And then just relax your head back down to the earth. Release your right hand. Hug your left knee into the chest. And then open the left knee to the left as you relax and rest your left ankle on top of your right thigh. Your hands can either rest on your abdomen or hands down, palms down on the floor. And just begin to sway both knees from side to side. Your hips will lift very slightly as you sway. And then, optionally, you can fully cross your left leg over your right and gently let both knees drift to the right, lifting your left hip. And your head will naturally either look up or turn slightly to the left. Taking an in and out breath here. How much you drop your knees is up to you. Lower abdomen in towards the spine as you bring your legs back up to the centre and very gently go over to the other side, go over to the left. And again, you might find naturally that your head turns away from the direction of the knees. Tummy in, lower abdomen in, as you bring your knees back up to the centre. And you might like to support your left leg underneath the thigh as you lift your left leg off the right thigh, bringing your left foot to the floor, and just gently sway your knees as we did before from side to side. And then hugging your right knee into your chest, this Apanasana variation, which works on the lower foundational energy. If that's out, all energies are out. It's very soothing. It's a half semi-fetal position. And then to begin to circle your right knee, holding your right knee with both hands. Just loosening off the leg in the hip socket, thigh bone in the hip socket. And then very gently circle your knee in the other direction. And then hugging your right knee into the chest, dropping your hands behind your right thigh, clasping your hands if you'd like, and extending your right knee up to the ceiling. You can always keep a bend in your knee, extending your right heel, and just feel that stretch along the back of the right leg. And then optionally, you can start to walk your hands up the back of the right leg, bringing the right leg slightly towards you. And then you can drop your left hand behind your head, supporting your skull and the back of your neck as you breathe out, lifting your head up slightly towards your extended right foot. And then just releasing the head down back to the earth, releasing your left hand, and hugging your right knee in towards your chest again. As you open your right knee to the right and place your right ankle on top of your left thigh. Hands can be either resting on the abdomen or palms down on the floor beside you. And then just very gently rock both knees from side to side. Your hips will lift very subtly away off the ground. And you have an option to bring your head in, but it might just be nice to enjoy rocking your knees from side to side without any head movement. It's your choice. And then fully crossing your right leg over your left, and let both knees drift over to the left, lifting up your right hip. And then very gently lower abdomen in towards the spine, very slightly, to support you as you bring both knees back to the centre. And then both knees gently drift over to the right as you're lifting your left hip. And again, you might find that your head naturally slightly moves to the left. How much you bring your knees down is entirely up to you. Your left hip is lifting off the ground. Your lower abdomen comes in, engage your perineum fractionally to support you as you come back to the centre. You might like to hold under your right thigh to lift your right foot off your left. Once more, just gently rock both knees from side to side. And then hug both knees into the chest. And again, just repeat that rocking from side to side movement. You'll almost come onto the backs of your upper arms as your elbows almost touch the ground. Depends how much you want to rock. And then we're going to be rolling to the side. If it's available to you, then roll to the right, away from the heart. But however you want to come up, we're going to be coming up very gently, taking time to adjust our movements, and we're going to be coming up to a seated position. And coming to, if a cross-legged position suits you, great. If your knees aren't great with this, then really don't worry, just come to legs out. Brilliant. Hands resting on the knees as you sit up, lengthening your body and breathing out. Roll your chin to your chest, activating the vagus nerve, which is de-inflammatory. Breathing in, it's like a cat-cow, seated cat-cow, lengthening the body, and then breathing out, chin to chest. You can slightly roll back, and breathing in as you sit up, and breathing out as you roll chin to chest. And then come to seated. Just touch your hands to either side of you and gently slide your fingers of your left hand out to the left. Bend your right elbow, tummy or lower abdomen in, and you slide as little or as much as you would like. You might like to lead with your right elbow. You can come onto your left elbow as you come into a lateral stretch. Chin tends to come in, and you stretch as little or as much as you would like. And you have an option to pulse your right elbow to the left and back again a little bit. Tummy or lower abdomen in as you press down with your right hand and come back up to the centre. And then very gently slide your right fingers to the right as you begin to raise your left arm, left elbow bent, coming over to the right as little or as much as you would like. As you come over to the right, just try and feel that your body is between two panes of glass, that you're not letting your left elbow come forward. The more you can open outwards, the more you'll have a lateral stretch, but again, that's individual. It's up to where you are for you. Tummy or lower abdomen in. As you press down on either your right elbow or your right fingertips to bring you up to the centre. And just very gently compensating that lateral movement as we just walk the fingertips forward. You might not come forward very much, just very gently walk your fingertips forward and have a sense of lengthening from your tailbone all the way to the top of the head and then relaxing forward. You might also feel this in your outer hips. And then walking your fingers back, and we're now going to come onto our hands and knees. So perhaps support your knees with your hands and come onto your hands and knees, where we're going to do the variations of that cat-cow movement. But just start by placing your hands hip width, your hands shoulder width apart. Sorry, my anatomy is going totally wrong here. And my knees hip width apart. And almost with your tailbone, start to wag the dog. So you're just slightly semicircling your hips from side to side. And as you circle your hips to one side, you can almost turn your head to the other side. So again, you're focusing into that lateral stretch. But again, the amount of movement is totally up to you. It's a very freestyle movement. You can walk your fingers forward and come onto your fingertips, almost like a reptilian movement as you bend your elbows and sway from side to side. My understanding is that this connects into the limbic brain, but I'm no scientist, so almost very satisfied. You lift your elbows, you see lizards, their elbows at their awkward, their tail sways in that kind of dinosaur way. And then come to reduce the sway. And if you've moved your hands, come back to that original position of hands shoulder width apart. And then come to a classic, dipping your back, either looking up or looking along the mat, whichever is more restful for the neck, and rounding your back as your chin comes to your chest. The chin to the chest activates something called the Jalandhara bandit, so energy seal, which activates the vagus nerve. Breathing in, dipping your back, either looking up or along the mat, whichever works for you. And breathing out, rounding your back. You can either initiate the movement from the tailbone, which is perhaps more normal, but it's also interesting as you round your back next time to think of the movement initiating from the centre of the back. It just produces a slightly different rounding. And then as we round the back next time, chin to chest, tuck the toes under, and just rock slightly backwards with your bottom towards your heels, stretching out the backs of the toes, which connects into the lung meridians as the feet join the body of the toes join the body of the feet, rocking slightly forward, a slight backwards and forward movement. It can be painful to rest on your toes, but it does stretch out those lung meridians underneath the as the toes connect to the feet, so it's very good for boosting your immunity. And then just come to neutral, round your back, chin to chest, and we're going to come into a very gentle downward dog. Lifting one knee, lifting the other knee. Feel that you can keep both knees bent and lengthen your back. Feel that you can widen your feet to however that works for you. And then bend one knee and then bend the other knee, walking the dog. Your hips will slightly move from side to side. You don't ever have to get your heel to the ground, it's aiming towards the ground. Your head's relaxed, tummy is in and engaged inwards slightly, even and downward dog. And then begin gradually to walk your feet to your hands to your feet. We're going to be coming to very, very gently rolling up. Vertebra by vertebra, and come to standing. Lifting and rolling the shoulders when we get to standing. Once more connecting to turn the head to the left and to the right and to the left and to the right. So mountain pose, just lift your toes and replace your toes, so that will naturally encourage you to stretch your toes out. Just slightly come forward on your toes and slightly back on your heels. Just slightly open your palms outwards, which can feel quite vulnerable, but it's opening the chest. And feel that your weight is balanced over your pelvis. And then step your feet slightly wider than hip width apart as we come into this very familiar swaying from side to side. So this moves all energies. You'll find this in a lot of Eastern practices, including Tai Chi and Qigong, which is a Chinese breathwork system. You can lift your heels. You're balancing your pelvis with a side-to-side movement, but you're also beginning on this swaying to encourage, in the yogic view, left-right brain, right-left brain coordination, communication. It's a mindfulness exercise because you let go. It's hard to retain stress, and with stress comes the anxiety, of course, when your focus is being moved like this. And you're coordinating your movement with your breath, because you tend to breathe as you sway your arms and lift off your heels. So in traditional classic practices, you'll be doing this for at least 50 times. In the Tibetan rites, which is a rejuvenation program, they have this as the opening sequence, or the opening practice, but they do it slightly differently, and there they turn only to the right, swirling round and round and round in circles, but you very easily lose balance. And so this has evolved, or this is the non-Tibetan rite practice. And then just come to slow your movement down, and then just come to stand still. Raise your arms, bending at the elbows, and clasp your head. Feel that the back of the neck is long, but you're not tensing into the back. And then just start that same movement again, where you're supporting the back of your head. You might be looking slightly down to make sure that there's no tension. You're opening up under your arms here, which connects into the lymphatic system. It's not such a freeing movement, just a few sways from side to side. Come to the centre and release the hands downwards. And then lift and roll the shoulders. And finally, on our Tai Chi, feel that you're holding an imaginary ball. It doesn't matter which hand leads. I've got my right hand on top, and I'm leading with my right elbow as I turn to the left, lifting my right heel. I swap my hands over so that my left hand is on top now, leading with my left elbow and coming to the left, to the right, can't coordinate. I'm going from side to side, so hopefully that followed that. Again, this is another variation on the same theme of balancing weight, balancing the pelvis. It's very soothing. It becomes almost like a moving meditation, balancing breath, movement, mindfulness. And then just come to the centre, release the hands, come to feet hip width apart. And this very strange exercise, just follow me. So you're breathing in, hands up, they can be relaxed at the elbows. Breathing out, hands behind you. Breathing in, cross, hugging yourself, but also releasing tension at the upper back, hands back. Up, back, cross the other way. Don't worry if you've forgotten. Up, back, cross, up, back, cross. It's great for relieving tension, stress, anxiety, anger, resentment. Very freeing. It's moving the chest, it's really moving everything. And again, in a traditional practice, you'd be doing this, and depending on how angry you've been pent up you are, you could be doing this for 50, 100 times. And then just gently begin to slow the movement down. And just swing your arms, and then just sway. And then lift and roll the shoulders, hands on the waist, feet hip width apart, balance. I'm no good at this, so don't look at me, but just lift your heels slightly and see how your balance is today. Well done, you're all doing very well. And then just very gently lower the heels to the ground. And then circle the arms up. And I'm going to invite you to hold the thumbs. Again, try your balance again, lifting your heels off the ground. And when you're ready, come down. Keep your hands up. And then just sway from side to side. So this becomes a lateral stretch, but strangely enough, this is a Vata movement. For anybody, Ayurveda is the medicine system of yoga, and the Vata dosha very much has an air element to it. And this balances air, but what is particularly crucial is if you've got any pain, balancing your Vata dosha is crucial for pain, because pain is believed to be a disturbance of the Vata dosha, the air element within your body. So it's called swaying palm tree. And like a tree, you get it's like, the analogy would be, you get strength from the flexibility of the movement. You know, if you look at a plane, if it's rigid, it's not strong. So this is that strength. Come to the centre, lower your hands, lift and roll your shoulders, and then we're going to be coming back down onto the ground. Knees bent, feet hip width apart, and we're going to be coming to a bridge variation. So feet hip width apart, lying, palms down, get time to just adjust. Just a couple of pelvic tilts to orientate you. And then pressing the feet down, lifting the bottom a little bit, raising the arms, bent at the elbows, up above and behind you, chin comes into the chest. You can stretch out a little bit or a lot, lift up a little bit or a lot, and then breathing out, bring your bottom back down to the ground, vertebra by vertebra, as you lower your hands back down as well. And when your bottom has connected to the ground, bend both knees into the chest. Extend both soles of the feet to the ceiling and bring your palms together through that V that you create. For those of you who are very core orientated, you can lift your head up towards your hands that are together, and if you want a modification, you can raise your head by supporting underneath it with one hand, and then release your head back down to the ground. Bend your knees into your chest, and just gently rock both knees from side to side, massaging right, really on that, almost you're off your back, you're onto your kind of sacrum area. And then just bring your feet back down to the ground. And hands, palms down again, another pelvic tilt. And when you're ready, press your feet into the ground, lift your bottom a little bit, bend your elbows, chin comes into the chest, length of the back of the neck lengthens, arms above you, stretching out, and then breathing out, lower your bottom back down to the ground, vertebra by vertebra. Your arms will naturally follow that movement when your bottom is secure on the ground. Bend your knees into your chest. And then soles of the feet to the ceiling, hands, palms through that V, extend both heels, and it's an option to lift your head up. Don't lift your head if that's tensing for your neck or too much for your core. Head back down to the earth, hugging your knees into your chest, just rocking again from side to side. And then placing your feet back onto the floor. So the bridge is supposed to be very strengthening for the back, but that's only true if your back is strong in the first place. So this is very gentle. So again, a pelvic tilt. Press your feet into the ground. Make sure that your knees don't splay out, that you feel that someone's holding your legs straight, lifting your bottom, lifting your bent elbows, chin comes into the chest. You don't have to stretch your arms out, or you might like to. And then begin to breathe out as you lower your bottom back down to the chest. Lower your hands. And this time just hug the knees into the chest. Hugging both knees into the chest. Still holding both knees, let both knees travel away from you to arm's length. Hugging both knees into the chest as you breathe out. And just let both arms travel away to arm's length. You're still holding your knees. And just repeat that a few times to your own breath pattern. And you should feel the base of the spine just flooding with energy, prana, as you're massaging slightly up and down the spine. The weight of you is providing the massage. And then just slide your hands down your shins so that your knees open to the side and you're holding above your ankles or your ankles. It's like a supine Baddha Konasana. You're just opening your inner thighs, your groin, your lower lymphatic sort of lymph system slightly. And then for those who can, if you can't just hold it anywhere in your legs, you can hold your big toes, checking that you're not stretching your neck, and just come via happy baby into slightly extending the feet upwards. If you can't hold your toes, then just hold anywhere on your legs and just gently rock from side to side. So I like to stretch my legs out, but not everybody can, it just depends on how you're built really. So either a half happy baby, slightly rocking from side to side, or a full leg stretch. Just check the back of your neck's long, that it's not suddenly creased up. It's a form of inversion. And then very gently bend your knees, hugging your knees into your chest once more, rocking from side to side. And then just place your feet on the floor, knees will be up to the ceiling, hip width apart. And then just roll, if the space is available to you, to the right, if not, roll to where you have got space. And just stay on your side for a couple of breaths. We are going to come very gently to lying on our abdomens, on our fronts. It won't be for very long. Come to roll however that works for you, taking your time onto your abdomen. And we're going to come into Sphinx pose. Which is resting on our tummies, on our elbows. Looking down on the floor to make sure that the back of the neck is lengthened. The more you stretch your elbows away from you, the lower you'll come and the more restful it will be on your lower back. But otherwise, come to a comfortable position And wobble your bottom from side to side. It's called a jelly wobble in the back healing world. So SIS, sacroiliac stabilizer. And just be aware that when you press your elbows into the ground, you can almost pull your body towards you, pull your body forwards, which stretches out your lower abdomen, it almost stretches out the base of your ribs. The more you lift up, of course, the more that comes to Sphinx into Cobra, the more you bring your elbows back. But again, just very mindful of how much you come up. And then very gently place your elbows out to the side. So we're going to come to lying. You can have your hands into fists if that you prefer to rest your forehead or higher up, or you can have your hands one on palm top of the other. Resting, make sure that your knees are out wider. So as you lift your soles of the feet to the ceiling, and just very gently sway your feet from side to side. You're stretching, strangely again, although it's a back bend, you're stretching your front as well. And then very gently release the legs back to the ground. Bring your knees closer together. And come to slide your hands back. We're going to come to any form of child that suits you. So press your hands down to come onto your hands and knees. You might like to bring the soles, the big toes towards one another and the knees wider apart. If your knees are causing problems, don't feel that you've got to bring your bottom down. You can keep your bottom up. That's absolutely fine. And come more into a poppy pose. Your head can be on the ground or off the ground, but if you want to come to sliding your bottom towards your heels, that's fine too. Come to wherever works for you into that forward. You can even rest your forehead on your hands as fists so that your head's not coming down too low. And in child's pose, the focus is breathing into towards your back, the back of the ribs. And then very gently walk your hands towards you. And we're going to be coming to sitting, dropping the bottom to the side and sitting with legs out in front of you. Lift the flesh out from under your bottoms. Just touch your fingers lightly in a dome either side of you to lift up your front. And then very gently open both legs into a wide V. And turn towards the left outstretched leg as you walk your hands down that left outstretched leg, coming into an option of something called Janushasana, head to knee pose. Not bending up the knees at all, we're just slightly coming over towards the left leg, slightly coming forward. Forward bends are always calming for the nervous system. Have a sense of lengthening along the base of your spine and then just come forward. Anyone with a bad back, minimal forward movement, just a nod to coming forward. And then very gently walk the hands up the left leg. Come to hands either side of you, just to lengthen your body. Walk or turn your body towards the right outstretched leg, and then begin to walk your hands down your right leg. You can also walk your hands to either side of you on the floor. If you want a super relaxed pose, you can turn the palms upwards, but if not, then just come to whatever works for you. And then tummy in as you very gently walk your hands back up. Hands come to either side of you. And then we're going to come centre. So walking the hands as your body comes centrally down both legs. You might like to hold your big toes, or you might like to hold anywhere on your legs. Just a forward bend. And then sliding your hands gently up your legs. Sitting up, hands either side of you, just to dome your fingers as you, or you can use your hands under your thighs to bend your knees, and then come to the feet out in front of you, hands either side of you, slightly behind you, and just lift, have a sense of lifting your chest. So lifting your chest, your hands are down, you can lift your chin slightly, look up. It again comes to it's a back bend because you're lifting at the chest. And then just release and relax. We're going to come back down onto our backs, knees bent, and feet slightly wider than hip width apart to come into knees touching constructive rest. Just resting the hands on the abdomen, elbows out to the side. Just come to rest. Just slightly move the head from side to side. Just check that your shoulders aren't, or that your shoulders are moving away from your ears. And I'm just going to count through a little bit of breath. If you drift off, that's fine. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, and as you breathe out, counting 1. Breathing in, and as you breathe out, counting 2. As you breathe in, breathe out and count 3. And carry on counting up to 10. If you lose track, just go back to 1. Breathing and counting on the end of the exhalation. And then gently begin to let go of counting. And notice where the body is connecting to the mat. Notice the feel of the clothes that you're wearing. Touch on the skin. We're going to come once more to a seated position. So hug both knees into the chest. And once more, just very gently rock from side to side. And taking your time to roll to one side, perhaps to the right. You can extend your right arm and roll onto your right side. And again, stay here for a moment, just to let the body adjust to that subtle movement. And then if you have moved to the right, your left hand will be available to press down on. If not, it will be the other arm. To come gently up to a seated cross-legged position. If your legs aren't great and cross-legged, then just legs out to the side. And just interlace the fingers and place them at the heart centre, perhaps a little bit below the heart, slightly bringing your chin to your chest. And breathing in, just once more, open the fingers out to the side. Breathing out, bring the fingers back to the heart centre and your chin slightly comes to your chest. Breathing in, opening the fingers out. Breathing out, bringing your fingers back, chin to chest. Just a few more times in this moving heart mudra. It's a meditation. The element of air is connected to the heart in the chakra system, or one of many chakra systems. And the air connects to the sense of touch. And the heart is the summer organ in the Chinese world, connects also to the small intestines. And even this simple movement of opening the hands out stretches the chest, or stretches the muscles. Such a subtle movement. And then just very gently, one last time, open the hands out, bring the hands back to the chest, chin to chest. And take a moment to have a thought for the day, your sankalpa, a wish for yourself or someone close to you. And just have that thought a couple of times, setting your intention for the day. And let go of that thought, the intention has been set. And now just focus on you, taking a bow for yourself. And thank you everyone very much for joining me today.